Come with me today as we explore Nassau, Bahamas.
Full disclosure, I'm a big fan of Nassau, although I know it is a pretty reviled cruise port among many seasoned cruisers. Personally, I disagree strongly. So in this review, you're going to find a very positive, upbeat perspective. Nassau is located on New Providence Island in the Bahamas, and it is one of the busiest cruise ports in the world. It is one of the most controversial cruise ports, and there's common questions about whether or not Nassau is dangerous. I personally find Nassau to be safe. I've cruised there as a solo traveler, and I've even cruised here with my young daughter, and we've explored around on foot, and I've never felt unsafe. There's now a lot to see and do at the cruise port. As you can see, there is a museum of Junkanoo, which is always great for a visit, and lots of colorful shops and great local vendors where you can visit right here in the cruise port area. It's important to note that part of the reason that Nassau has developed a bad reputation among many cruisers is because historically at the cruise port area, there have been many very aggressive vendors that have turned off cruisers. However, in March of 2023, Nassau unveiled a multi-million-dollar cruise port renovation. And what you see here is the outcome of that renovation. It's quite impressive. The cruise port is new, it's modern, it's clean, and it's well regulated. While there are vendors here, they're no longer pushy, they're no longer aggressive. They basically keep to themselves in their shops, and you can visit them or choose to keep walking. In this area, you'll find an array of vendors. There's a pharmacy, you can get your hair braided, there's a special hair braiding pavilion, which you see here up at the front, and the standard cruise port souvenir shops that you've come to expect from cruise ports across the world, selling various souvenirs and tchotchkes. There are also restaurants here selling the local delicacy of conch if you want to give that a try. English is the official language here, and the US currency is widely accepted, as are credit cards. I always encourage cruisers to use a travel credit card instead of a debit card when they're cruising, because a debit card can incur international transaction fees. And unfortunately, there are situations where sometimes there are some shady actors at cruise port areas that will steal your credit card information. So it's not common, but it can happen. It's much more safe just to use a credit card, specifically a travel credit card, where you are often exempt from those international transaction fees. The new cruise port area is pretty large, so it takes a little bit of time to walk through it, and right outside of the port area, you will find a taxi stand and various modes of transportation. Now, a word of caution, I spoke earlier about aggressive vendors. That's not the case anymore in the port area, but once you exit the official port area, which is what you see here, it is kind of fair game. And you will kind of get some of that old, aggressive, pushy vendor experience, but I haven't found it to be too bad personally, and I just firmly say no. I don't make eye contact, I look down or straight ahead, and I keep it moving. And I've never had an issue with any vendor here. As you can see, outside of the port area, there are more souvenir shops. If you're into the cruise port bar scene, if you make a right here, you'll find a popular Senior Frogs location. If you cross the street and you continue going ahead, you will find the famous straw market. Although unfortunately, I have found that a lot of the goods there, even though they claim to be local and handcrafted, are basically mass-produced tchotchkes from China. So make sure you're cautious about what you're buying, because it might not always be authentic. If you book a cruise line excursion, you will likely meet at a designated location inside the port area. If you're like me and you arrange your own private transportation, on this day, I did as I normally do in Nassau, and I book a private driver, and I'll drop his details down below in the description. You do have to meet them outside of the port area. Now, a fantastic thing about Nassau that I really love is that there are a lot of big sites that are walkable from the cruise port. So it's not necessary here to book an excursion, because those can get expensive, and it's also not necessary to do what I do, which is book a private driver. You also don't even have to take a taxi to many locations if you don't want to. If you do these things, however, you can pack more into one day in a short port of call visit, but it's just depending upon what you want to see and do and how you like to operate. If you want to do a free beach day and you don't want to drive anywhere, if you make a right outside of the cruise port area and walk about 10 minutes, you will encounter the public part of Junkanoo Beach, but it does get pretty crowded, so be aware of that. If you make a left and walk about a mile, you'll encounter the Bahamas Rum Cake Factory. This is a favorite of mine because it's a great free visit. Of course, it's not free to buy stuff, but it's great for a quick visit, and it is a local Bahamian-owned business, and they make all of their rum cakes fresh on site. And just a stone's throw from there, a short walking distance, is the famous Fort Fincastle and Queen's Staircase, both which are free to visit. There is a long and dark history here, but understanding that history is important. There's usually a local stationed here who kind of implies that you have to pay to enter, but you don't have to. He's just trying to earn optional tips for sharing his history and knowledge. Another area of Nassau that's accessible by foot or short taxi ride is the Graycliff area. Graycliff is basically a resort, but they have all of these experiences surrounding the property that make it a draw for tourists. Many of which, like the rum or chocolate tastings, are free. And with the fun and vibrant colors, it's great for photo ops. Another nearby location that's free to visit is the John Watling's rum distillery. This is a great location because, like the others, it's free and it's walkable from the cruise port. The free tour lasts about 8 to 10 minutes. Now, if you're looking for a beach day, there are lots of great options in Nassau. If you want to take a taxi over to the Bahamas area, you can explore the grounds of that property at no cost, and you can access Cable Beach, which is also in that area. If you want to stay closer to the cruise port, as I mentioned earlier, once you exit the port area, if you hang a right, in just about 10 to 15 minutes, you'll end up at Junkanoo Beach. But note that the public area gets really overcrowded and there are pushy vendors there. Another free beach option, while it requires a taxi because it's over on Paradise Island, is Cabbage Beach. It is on the ocean side though, so as you can see on windy days like this, the waves can get pretty aggressive. Perfect if you just want to lay out, but if you're a frolic in the ocean kind of person, you're probably better suited to stick with Junkanoo Beach, where the waves are much more placid. If you do venture over to the Paradise Island side of Nassau, you've got to check out Atlantis. While you can no longer get into the hotel lobby or the aquariums, you can still explore the shops, the marina, and play in the casino for free. Well, playing in a casino is not free, but you know what I mean. The marina has lots of really cute shops, restaurants, bars, and coffee shops like this one, and it's a really scenic place to explore and visit on foot. If you do want to visit Atlantis, you can pay for a day pass to use their aqua park, but you can also just explore around for free if you're trying to save money. So as you can see, Nassau has a ton of great things to do that cost you nothing, and many of these are really close to port, so close that you can walk to them, or in the case of Paradise Island here, it's just a short taxi ride away. Now, of course, there are cruise line excursions and independent excursions that are available, but if you're trying to save money and you don't want to buy an excursion or be tied down with a group, this is a great place to explore on your own. But regardless of how you choose to explore, please just get off the ship and explore.